Every morning, millions of Americans invite Kelly Ripa into their homes without ever thinking twice about it. She is part of the rhythm of daily life, as reliable as the coffee brewing in the kitchen or the light creeping through the blinds. That is why it felt so jarring when her presence shifted, even slightly. Kelly didn't disappear from the screen. She didn't miss shows or make dramatic announcements at first. Instead, there was a quiet change in her energy, a softness where there was once sparkle, a gentler cadence in her voice. For viewers who have watched her for decades, it was noticeable, not alarming, but unmistakable. The familiarity that usually brought comfort suddenly invited concern, because when someone you feel you know seems different, it unsettles something deeper than entertainment, more than a television host. Kelly Ripa has never been just a presenter reading cue cards. Over more than 20 years, she has become a symbol of continuity in a world that changes too fast. She has aged alongside her audience, laughed with them, and shared milestones without ever oversharing. For many viewers in their 60s and beyond, Kelly represents a friend who has been there through career changes, empty nests, personal losses, and quiet triumphs. Her humor has always been sharp but kind, her optimism genuine but grounded. That consistency built trust, and trust is why her recent openness mattered so deeply. When someone so familiar reveals a crack in the surface, it feels personal, even intimate. When the energy shifted, the change wasn't dramatic enough to trend immediately, but it lingered. Kelly was still professional, still warm, but more subdued. The rapid-fire jokes slowed. The sparkle dimmed just enough to invite questions. Loyal viewers noticed because they always do. She didn't brush it off or hide behind forced cheerfulness. Instead, she allowed the shift to exist. That decision alone signaled that something meaningful was happening behind the scenes. It wasn't burnout in the casual sense or a bad week. It was something that reached beyond the studio lights and into her private life, something she eventually chose to acknowledge rather than conceal. Choosing vulnerability on a public stage, television hosts are trained to entertain, not to reveal. The unspoken rule is to keep things light, relatable, and moving. Kelly broke that rule gently but firmly. When she spoke about navigating a difficult period in her life, there was no melodrama and no attempt to extract sympathy. There was simply honesty. The studio fell quiet in a way that could not be scripted. Viewers didn't see a celebrity performing a vulnerability. They saw a woman choosing truth over polish. That moment mattered because it reminded people that strength does not require silence, and that authenticity often resonates more than perfection ever could. A weight. Many recognized. Kelly did not disclose every detail, and she didn't need to. The emotional truth was enough. She spoke of carrying something heavy, something that affected her family, her health, and her balance. For many watching, especially older viewers, that feeling was instantly recognizable. Life has a way of stacking responsibilities until they blur together. Aging parents, children navigating adulthood, health scares that arrive without warning. Kelly's words reflected experiences millions live quietly. That familiarity is what made her message so powerful. It wasn't shocking because it was dramatic. It was shocking because it was real. Family as the quiet anchor. Throughout her reflection, Kelly returned again and again to her family. Her husband, Mark, was not just a co-host sharing a desk, but a steady presence sharing the weight she carried. Their partnership, both personal and professional, revealed itself not through grand gestures but through quiet support. Their children, too, grounded her, reminding her that life's meaning extends far beyond career achievements. Kelly spoke about how family reframed her priorities, how love provided clarity when everything else felt overwhelming. For viewers who have learned similar lessons over time, her words felt like confirmation rather than revelation. Confronting health without fear. One of the most striking aspects of Kelly's honesty was her willingness to acknowledge vulnerability around health. She admitted that even success and visibility do not protect anyone from life's unpredictability. For years, Kelly has appeared ageless, energetic, and tireless. Hearing her speak openly about listening to her body and respecting its limits was a powerful reminder that health is not a guarantee, but a responsibility. She framed it not as fear, but as awareness. Paying attention, responding early, and allowing yourself care are acts of strength, not weakness. A generation that learned to push through. Kelly's admission that she often prioritized work over rest struck a deep chord with viewers who grew up valuing endurance above all else. Many in their 60s were raised to believe that slowing down was a luxury, that productivity defined worth. Her confession reflected a generational truth, one shaped by long hours and quiet sacrifice. What made it meaningful was not the regret, but the resolve. Kelly acknowledged the pattern without judgment and chose to break it. That choice felt liberating not just for her, but for those watching who recognized themselves in her words. Redefining strength. Perhaps the most transformative part of Kelly's revelation was her realization that perfection was never the goal. For years, audiences may have projected expectations onto her, assuming she needed to be endlessly upbeat and flawless. Kelly gently dismantled that illusion. Strength, she explained, does not come from pretending everything is fine. It comes from acknowledging struggle and continuing forward anyway. That perspective reframed vulnerability as power. It reminded viewers that being real often forges stronger connections than being ideal ever could. The response from viewers. The reaction was immediate and emotional. Messages flooded in from viewers who felt seen and understood. Many shared their own stories of health scares, caregiving, and moments when life forced them to pause. Kelly's openness created space for others to reflect, to reassess their own priorities, and to feel less alone. The connection extended beyond fandom. It became communal, a shared understanding that life's challenges do not discriminate, and that compassion is something we all need at different moments. Balancing public life and private truth. Navigating vulnerability while living in the public eye is a delicate balance. Kelly managed it with intention and grace. She did not invite speculation or overshare personal details. Instead, she offered context and emotional honesty without surrendering privacy. That boundary itself was instructive. It showed that you can be open without being exposed, authentic without being consumed by public opinion. In an age where oversharing is often rewarded, her restraint felt refreshing and wise. A message that lingers. What stayed with viewers wasn't sadness but perspective. Kelly's story didn't end with despair or uncertainty. It ended with intention. She spoke about listening, adjusting, and valuing presence over pace. The lesson was subtle but lasting. Life does not require constant forward motion to be meaningful. Sometimes, strength lies in stopping, reflecting, and choosing differently. That message resonated deeply, especially with those who have spent years putting others first. The familiar face, seen anew. Kelly Ripa remains the same welcoming presence she has always been, but now with added depth. Her story did not diminish her image. It expanded it. She became not just a symbol of morning routine, but a reminder that authenticity builds trust in ways perfection never can. By choosing honesty, she strengthened the bond she has cultivated for decades. Viewers didn't tune out, they leaned in. A quiet reminder. We all needed. In the end, Kelly's revelation was not about hardship alone. It was about awareness, connection, and choosing to live deliberately. Her willingness to share a difficult chapter without spectacle turned a moment of vulnerability into a shared experience. It reminded millions that no one is immune to life's challenges, but no one has to face them alone either. That quiet truth delivered without drama may be her most powerful message yet.